The first thing that we need to become familiarized with is a new type of symbol that so far we haven't used yet, which is the button symbol. The button symbol, it's different from the rest in the sense that it does contain a timeline inside, but uh, the timeline is very simple. So I just created a new button symbol that's very simple. Basically, we go insert new symbol, then we select button, and as soon as we hit OK, we're going to find ourselves here. And as usual, we can look at this area on the interface to realize where we are. Currently, we're inside a button symbol we just created. And this is what I was telling you about. The timeline here, we'll see that the frames are very big and they're labeled, and those labels actually they connect or they describe the different states that we can have on a button, plus something called hit, which is where we define the area that will be sensitive to the mouse on the button. And this is going to become much more clear in just a second. So let's start by creating our states here, and we can see that the up state, which means that's nothing but when the mouse is not interacting with the button, and basically the button is considered to be up. Then the over, which is when we actually position our mouse pointer over the area that is defined by the hit, and and that's considered the over. And finally the down, that is where when we actually press down the button, and sometimes that makes the button look different depending on the design. So we have a clear frame here. Let's start by putting a button there, and I'm going to start by putting the background, and just going to use a black background right now, or if we want to change the color we can. Let's go to a traditional blue, and what we can do is we can copy that state to the over by hitting F6, which is, as you may remember, the equivalent of inserting a new keyframe like this. So I can copy that on the down as well with F6 again, and we can call this BG for background, and then we can create a new layer and basically put our text there. So I'm going to create with the text tool, I'm just going to create something here. Maybe it's too big, so I'm going to make it smaller. And then the color, I'm going to choose white. And I'm just going to say, okay, this is going to be for the photo section. Okay. And I can select the selection tool and move this around, position it where I want it. And then if I want to make it a little bigger, use the free transform and make it so. So I'm going to hit F6 on this area to create a couple of keyframes and make each state independent from the rest. Okay, so right now it all looks good. What we can do is if we want to, we can create a hit area that it's I need to press F7 and create a blank keyframe, and then select my rectangle tool and just create an area and draw an area there, preferably with a different color, otherwise It's gonna be hard to tell where it is, and like so. Okay. So what that's gonna do is that basically it's gonna uh, tell where the effect of putting the mouse on top is gonna change how the mouse looks, so it gives the feedback that you're over the button. It's gonna look like a little hand, and you're gonna see that in a second. Why is this important? Well, what happens is that if you're using backgrounds like this one, it's not a problem because it's very specific where the mouse becomes or is on top of the button. However, sometimes you just have text, and that's a lot more tricky to know when the mouse is over the text. So that specific case, usually it's very convenient to have a hid area like it did. Anyways, right now, if we test this button, I'm gonna go back to the stage and I'm gonna place it there, and we can run the movie. I want you to look at the mouse pointer, and as soon as I position the mouse pointer on top, you see how it becomes that little hand. And that's some good feedback that lets us know that this is a button. Now, if you can see for some areas, look at this, the mouse is a little bit on top, and that has to do with that hit area that I just created, and it goes over. So usually you don't want that, so we can correct that in a second. But as I was saying, it's highly convenient for when you just have a button that is based on text, because otherwise it wouldn't react like a button unless we were very exactly positioning our mouse over the text itself. Now, as I put my mouse on top of this, there's not much of a feedback, and that's because all the states for the button look the same. So if we go back here, up, over, and down look exactly the same. However, we can start creating some changes so this looks gives us some kind of feeling that we're performing an action. For instance, we can select both items here. Let me get rid of these lines that I drew by accident. So I think we're good there. Okay. So basically we can select both items. Let's call this layer text. The text and the background. And I can shift them just by a little bit. Like like this by pressing the key up and the key to the left. And what this is going to do is that when I test the button, look at what happens on the over state. There's a small shift, and that gives us a visual feedback that this is a button. You can do it more intuitive actually if we were going to move it instead of top up, down, right when the mouse is over, like so. Okay. Uh, Another thing we can do is that we can change things. I'm gonna copy these frames to the down state by selecting them, then pressing Alt Option, clicking and dragging. You see this, the plus sign, so it means I just created a copy. And I can change the color of that background to a lighter blue. And what that's going to do is that when the mouse is pressed down, the color of the button is going to change, like so. Pressing, I'm pressing, pressing, I'm pressing. So basically that gives us a sense that we're interacting, and it's more clear for the user. Okay, so far so good. we can add something filters in this area by selecting the button on the stage and then coming here. And I'm just gonna add perhaps a drop shadow, and I'm gonna adjust it a little bit, and that is gonna give us even more a bigger sense that this is a button, because it's going to be separated from the background. And right now, you see what those, this is part of the peril of accidentally drawing an outline in Flash. It always gets on the way. So we need to go back in, I double click on the symbol, and then find those lines and delete them so they don't bother us anymore. So there's our button. And we can position this somewhere, and now it gives us a better sense of interaction.